or like the people?
No. The gondolas. The new thing that they installed.
No, they were being refurbished because we just went a couple weeks ago. So it was like, oh, everyone's gone home. Yes, we will fix everything at the same time. Like, yeah.
Hey, everybody, we're live. No, you don't have to, it's fine. We haven't hit record yet. But we're saying hi to anyone on the stream right now, which is no one at the moment, but that'll change.
Hello, streamers.
Hey, streamers! What's up?
I wish I had one of those like gymnastics things right now.
the ribbon dance.
The streamers.
Oh, okay, all right. You know what? That's your first pun of the night. You get two more.
Buckle up, fuckers.
You get two more, pal.
I'm gonna go over my limit. I think we all know I'm gonna go over my limit.
Wait, where the heck did Justin go?
I'm here. I just turned my camera off so you wouldn't call me out for lighting a candle again, even though I just said I did it.
I don't know why you felt like you had to mute yourself for that.
Well, because I had to stand up like I did the other week, and I had to grab the lighter.
And he's not wearing pants.
It's like he had his dick's hanging out, you know?
Right? I'm just free balling it all night.
You know? Yeah, baby!
All night long.
All night long.
All night long.
Great. Now Lionel Richie's going to sue us. Thanks.
Yeah. He's like, give me all of your theoretical dollars.
Right. How many Patreon supporters you got? 4? All right, give me all $4.
Give me your. What do you get after Patreon? Take some. All right, cool. Give us $10, you piece of shit.
Good evening, sir.
I require payment for your soul.
I represent Lionel Richard the first.
And I'm with the firm Richard, and Lionel. It does get confusing. You're quite right.
Dick, Richard, and Lionel.
See, this right here is why you're here, Pat. Because we just keep building and building and building, and it's the beauty that what this is.
Welcome to the stupidity, friends.
Yeah. Welcome to the shit show. So, okay, jokey here. Let's see here. Let's get all this over here. Let's put that over there. And cool. Well, we're looking good. We're set. Hey, it may be time for Justin to shave his head. I'm loving the vibe. See, that's what I was saying in our production meeting.
We were just talking about this, Noah.
Literally last night. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. You might tune in, and I might just have I'll just have a bald cap on.
You know what?
I don't have to shave my head.
Justin, tell him the reason why you're afraid to shave.
Oh, I don't know if it'll come back. I'm super nervous that I'm going to shave it and my hair's going to go, oh, thank God he doesn't want us anymore. We're just going to relax. The follicles are just going to go, nope.
It's like you've deforested the Amazon. It's like, yeah, we don't grow back, man. We're gone forever.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a misnomer here that anybody who shaved their head in the first place was like, this is a conscious choice.
Kind of had to. And you know what? Yeah. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I went to a wedding. I stood for pictures, and I saw the people behind me. My hair.
For me, it was someone took a picture of me throwing shot put in college, and it had been a really windy day, and I realized how like my hair was hanging on, like Sylvester Stallone in Cliffhanger. It's just at the top. It was just like, oh my God, we can't do this. I was like, oh shit, we just need to call it. Just need to call it here. Yep. 20 years old, I was like, let's call it, you know.
Where are you both at now? Have either of you tried to let it, like, where are you now? If you were to let it come back in, what would we be looking at?
Be really thin, like right up here and back here, but be great on the sides. Really great on the sides.
You got the horseshoe thing going on yet? Like the old man horseshoe?
I mean, I would probably be really thin, like, because even when I feel it, like when it's like, you know, oh, I got to shave, I'm like, wow, there's just not much around here. But the sides, going strong.
Yeah, I'm rocking solid gray around this bit.
Yeah.
And then, and when I like let it grow out, you just go, you're very distinguished?
If you put on a lab coat, people are going to think that you're a scientist, you know?
What was the hair color?
When I put on a lab coat.
You're like, well, and you just pop it on right now. You're like,
I've got it draped over my chair at all times.
Pardon me, I'm going to the market.
Is that a lab coat? No, it's my market coat.
It has a handy pocket for all of my coupons and pens. Coupons.
And a calculator, so I can calculate all the money I'm saving with these coupons.
And the tax rate. You know, practicality is important.
Yes, of course. You know? So good. It's so good. All right. I think it's time we hit record. So just as an FYI, when we're done, so basically we'll stop the recording. Yep. And then we'll still be streaming. We'll say goodbye to the stream. This is the part I always forget to tell people. So I'm like, all right, thanks, everybody. And the guest goes, later. And they just peace out. We'll end the recording. And then we'll end the stream. And then we can sort of like just quickly talk afterwards in private without these other looky-loos around here listening in on what we're doing. So I always fail. I always fail to say that one part. And people are like, all right, later. And it's just, you know, cut the cord. And I'm like, well, just thank you.
Yeah. Now, and then for you guys, do you prefer like a rating level? Does that help you or hurt you in any way, shape, or form if I say anything out of my mouth or try to keep it cool?
Oh, swear all you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just racist epitaphs. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. I mean, who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, whatever.
Look at us. We're three white guys. Two of us are bald. Say what you want. Like, I mean, it's already implying that. You might as well just say it, you know?
I'm going to just say actually a lot. And just mansplain my ass off.
Actually.
Actually, I think that...
Actually, Pat wheels around. There's like, never mind. Okay, let's... All right. We are recording, and 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And Jesus Christ, do we have a great guest with us this week. Oh my gosh. Man. An incredible human, incredibly funny, incredibly talented, and just kind-hearted person. Please welcome back after nearly 4 years, Pat Dwyer!
Hello!
All of them.
That air horn that's just mine. That wasn't even you guys. Also mine. No, thank you for having me. Really
so happy to have you back. We were just talking. The last time you were here was episode 189, 86, 89.
It was 29. It was May of 2019.
May of 2019. So nearly 4 years ago.
How was your pandemic?
It went quite well. I think as pandemics go, I didn't lose anyone personally. I suppose that's
a win.
Are these common enough things that we can say now? I don't know.
I think so. I mean, why not?
Everything's fine, I guess. I don't know. I left the everything I knew is what I did during COVID.
Yeah.
I took off across the country because what else was going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty fun. I just bought an RV and I left everything I ever bought. I sold it all and I took off with my wife and children.
I was going to say, like, sold everything?
No, well, I mean, I sold. No.
Your women. How much for your women?
How much do you want for the women? Things are going great, you guys.
I would highly recommend, if you haven't listened to episode 189, and one of my favorite moments is we get on this kick about Paul Revere, which devolves into talking about bars, which leads into some bit about John Bon Jovi, which, oldie but a goodie, boy, I was listening to a best of randomly. I just caught it in my files. I'm like, oh, listen to this. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember this bit. It just kept going. It was amazing. It was so good.
Yeah. And the thing that the listeners and viewers might not know is just the idea that, like, it doesn't stop. Like, that's not where that bit stopped.
No.
That's where we stopped the recording.
Yes. It kept going. It tickled my heart so much. I was like, oh, I remember this. This was so much fun. So we're super pleased to have you back, man. It's great to hear you. It's great to see you. And I want to fill your bucket. All right. Okay. One of our listeners and also one of our folks in our community on our Discord, Jared, he's from Australia. He's a big fan of yours. And he specifically wanted me to tell you this. He said, please tell Pat that he's the best part of the Nate Katanis videos, and that is saying a lot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Australia, represent. Oh, my God. That means the world to me. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Those naked tennis videos could not be more fun. For anybody out there who doesn't know what this is, my friend, whose name is not Nate, but we won't talk about it. He started this bit about a motivational speaker who is just not that at all. He's very demotivational, but not in like in a mean way. He's just like a spoiled rotten rich kid, and he doesn't know any better. And years ago, he approached me and said, "Hey, I have these scripts. Would you be interested in checking them out and like just tell me what you think about them?" And I took them and kind of like made him into something way bigger and wrote characters for him and just was like, I had this idea, and I handed it to him. And he was like, this is really fun. And then he said, would you like to play any of the parts in this thing that you helped write? Because this was way back. We did a shoot that was in a school. It wasn't actually school. It was like a corporate training thing. And I wrote this character named Kevin Kevins, who was just an imbecile. But it was in opposition to his vitriol and his meanness. We wrote this character that was just like blindly kind and like hapless and lovable. And I spent most of the first video just like nodding to everything that he was saying and mouthing along, just to show how, because I became his like assistant as this character, and it just could not be more fun. And it is completely ludicrous and stupid. And we did a shoot recently that he brought, like, he was like, Pat, I want you to, like, as part of this bit, we're going to have you like chug Advil. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds like a great bit. Thinking they were going to bring me not Advil. And then they bought a Costco-sized thing of Advil, and I spent the time just going, and your mouth goes numb real fast. And I didn't notice until about halfway through, and I went, on camera, me just like trying to feel my mouth again. Because it turned out it was real Advil. And then afterwards, after we cut, he went, that's real? I'm like, yeah, I got that, man. Such a great bit. He's such a wonderful guy, and I could not be more happy to be a part of that. So what's that person's name?
Jared.
Jared. We're best friends now. That's all I said. Write me. We'll be friends. You and me in Australia.
Jared is one of the coolest guys. He's been such a great member of our community for many years now, and he is a lover of all media. It doesn't matter. Yeah. He doesn't judge it. He just wants to go and enjoy it. And I've tried to learn a lot from him, because I used to be really judgmental of things, being like, that's not very good. He's like, why can't we just enjoy it? We don't have to rate it. Just watch it and enjoy it. I'm like, you know what? I need to do more of that. I don't need to be such a dick about it, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe sometimes.
A little bit. Avatar could go eat its own ass as far as I'm concerned,
Fair enough.
Look, some things need to be criticized. Let's just put that out there. There are some things that just beg for it.
Yeah.
And it's the Tale of Water. Is that what it's called? Tale of Water? I don't know.
Water. Whatever.
Way of water.
Way of water.
The way of water.
Way of water.
Yeah. This is the way.
Well, see you guys later.
Visual gags on audio medium, kind of.
There's little stairs here.
That's good. Little stairs. Some people have treadmills. You have little stairs. I like it. You know.
They don't actually go anywhere. They're just right
here. Before we get too far ahead, Pat, I want you to tell everyone about you, where they can find you. Promote your stuff. Promote yourself right now. We'll do it again at the end of the show, but I want to get it up top here.
Okay, so I am. Among all other things, I am a professional speaker, and I travel the country and talk to businesses and corporations and associations and conferences and things like that. And I talk about change and innovation and how, like, it's actually not that hard, and we make it really stupid in our brains, and then it gets harder. So I talk a lot about that. I come from an improv background, so we use some of that theory to talk about that, which is really, really fun and a really good time doing that. But the way that people can find me is at patdwyerwastaken.com because patdwyer.com was taken.com. And so I bought patdwyerwastaken.com and it's great.
You're not wrong. In fact, you won't be able to see this, Pat, but to the folks that are on the stream and on the video, I want to take a quick look at your website because this is probably one of my favorite websites in existence, and in particular, well, not only is it just like it's a well-designed website. There's a lot going on visually in a good way, and it's very engaging. But one of my favorite parts is under the meeting planners section. There's what's the process in bringing Pat to your event? And I want to just, visually show, we've got the call, the date, the consultation, the plan, and then all of the awesomeness. And if you're just listening, I highly recommend you go to patdwyerwastaken.com, go to the meeting planner section and check this out for yourself. But what I love is just the photo of you just slowly approaching a chair, sitting down in that chair, and then laying down in that chair. Like, it's beautiful.
And again, for those just listening, it is a beautiful, rich, dark leather chair that's not reclinable. So the fact that he's laying down on it is just marvelous.
And also, I want to say, bold choice to once step forward, sitting down, not unbuttoning the top button. And here's why. Classic decorum says you button the top button, which you've done here, right? Like, you don't button both buttons.
You're spot on that.
Yeah. And then you sit down, it's supposed to unbutton, and Pat goes, no, I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to up it up a notch. And in episode 5, or I'm sorry, step 5, I'm going to lay down and still not unbutton it. That's a bold choice, sir. Bold choice.
See, I'd like to pretend that there's some larger conversation about how I'm not quite business, but I'm not quite not. Truthfully, I forgot to unbutton the coat, and I just started doing bits. And then the photographer went, "Are you literally just going to lay in that chair?" What you don't see from the rest of that shoot is me actively then falling out of the chair as I slipped too far into my back and then fell on the floor, which I have pictures of and are not on the site.
I was like, I can see, like, now that you mentioned that, I'm like, oh yeah, there's I definitely see those are the next steps as Pat slowly going onto the floor.
That bit went way too far.
It's very good. But you all should check out patdwyerwastaken.com. It's a wonderful website. It's very good. It gives you everything you know, especially like books. You're writing books, son?
I mean, yeah, I'm working on them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm working on 2 books right now. Yeah. Actually, technically, I'm writing 3 books right now, but the other one's just in its very, very infancy. Very infancy.
Very infancy. Sure, super duper infancy.
These books are going to be great. Yeah.
I'm figuring out words as I write them. It's amazing.
Me like word program. Me like word program, and me let it type for me. The books that I've written are I'm in the final process of 2 of them. One is called Thought While Thinking Thoughts About Thoughts, and that is a compilation. I've been spending the last several years writing a single journal sentence a day. I kind of culminate all of my thoughts for the day into one phrase or sentence.
Interesting.
And or takeaway for my day. And I've taken all of those entries and I've cultivated, I think it's about 150 of them. And then I've commented on about 30 of them.
Nice.
And they're just out there for anybody who might need that or want that or care to understand my brain in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, there we go. Doug's on board. And then the other book is called Shelter in a Place That Moves. And that's about the RV trip that I talked about a little bit before, where we traveled the country during the last election. And I was in Alabama during the last election. That was scary for me. It turned out it's wonderful, but that is about the stories of the people that we met and how surprising it was in a world that I've found to be very divisive and angry, and people are fighting each other for the sake of fighting each other. And we found some very rich, beautiful friendships and people and experiences in this world that should have been way scarier than it was, or
I'm
turned out to
fascinated
be.
by this.
It was
so cool.
so wonderful and deeply cathartic. The whole trip was wonderful. We spent 9 months on the road, so this is a culmination of stories from that adventure. I certainly was not good about keeping a journal on that, but those ideas occasionally showed up. But mostly I was driving, so you get what you get.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the 2 books that are coming out sometime this year, once the publishing can get done.
Please do keep us informed on when those, because we'll let our audience know. Because Doug and I will 100% be buying those. But
Yeah.
I know some people in our audience would be very interested to kind of read what you have to say on
My
that.
wife is an avid book reader, and I mentioned to her tonight on our just over dinner. I was like, "Hey, my buddy Pat, he's coming out with 2 books." She goes, "I want to write 2 books." I was like, "Right?" So I definitely, we'll absolutely pick those up. So definitely keep us in the loop. Like, we want to help support that.
I would think for you two, I could probably send them to you. I think no one else. For you guys, maybe you guys. Yeah.
That's very kind of you. But I think this is what great ideas for books, and this is amazing. Anyone who even publishes anything, regardless if like 1 million people read it or just one, I'm like, you put it out there and that's awesome. You created something, and I think that's amazing. So congratulations on this, and looking forward to seeing these get published, man. That's amazing.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. I think it's going to be it's exciting, but we'll see where it goes. Worst comes to worst, it's another thing for a library to hold, so that's fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's Benjamin Franklin, you little idiot.
I gotta ask about one of my favorite parts on your website is this little button at the bottom of the meeting planners page that just says a stress relieving high five.
Yeah.
And I was perusing it. I'm like, what is this? And I clicked it, and it was everything that I hoped the page could be. Yep. And it made me wonder, what else? Are there any other Easter eggs or hidden gems that you have to search for that people might not be readily aware of, or that you've hidden so well that when you go and check your analytics, you're like, wow, still no page views on this because I hid it so fucking well?
There is a great combination of both of those things.
Okay.
There's some stuff hidden. I will say that there is some.
Because I have moused my cursor over the entire, like every row. I'll bring the cursor just waiting for it to turn into the hand. I want to click on something, Pat.
The things that are hidden in would-be Easter eggs are mostly not hidden that well, because I don't want people to go too hard on that thing. It's not fair for anybody. But for you, I might actually go and genuinely hide something.
I would love it, because I have no reason to believe you would ever go that deep on it, but in my mind, I'm like, he might though. Yeah. He might.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment.
Can I ask a question about this? This high five. Obviously, that's your face. Is that your hand?
No, certainly not my hand.
Yeah, I was like, it doesn't seem like that's your hand.
It's totally different lighting. And surprisingly, my wife the other day.
It's her hand?
No, it's not. Sadly, that would have been a very, very good idea. I should have done that. But she also said to me, she's like, "That's not your hand, right?" No, that's not my hand. It's like I photoshopped it in or something. It's just I put it in there. It doesn't. It's nothing. She's like, "That's dumb." I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's why I did it, because it's super dumb." Yeah, made me laugh, and I think it'll make one other person laugh.
That's amazing. I love it. I love stuff like that. Speaking of silly stuff, and Pat, one of my favorite memories, because you and I met working at one of the greatest companies ever in existence, SMS Assist.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's always on the top 100 lists of businesses that existed. It's there.
100%. Yeah,
it existed.
What list do you look? Okay, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's there on you can go to any tax website. It's this business exists. It's there. It's on the list.
Yeah, top 100 existing businesses.
Fortune 500 considered adding it to the list. Considered.
Yeah,
for a long time.
But it's amazing. Well, because one thing is, I was thinking about this. The guests that we've had on recently have all come from me meeting them at SMS Assist, and I'm just really? Yeah. And I'm like, Yeah, I think he left before you got there. But Omari Brown was a guy I worked with, and he's an assistant producer on Late Night with Stephen Colbert. So like the Late Show.
Cool.
Yeah, amazing human being. Matt Baker, another guy I think that left before you got there, but like he's like filmmaker, rapper, like all this other stuff. Like I've met some of the coolest people at this really strange organization. Just the strangest place on earth. That's a tough moniker to put on. I don't think that's entirely true, but goddamn, is it weird?
I don't think it's entirely wrong.
Yeah, it's a weird.
A bit of Land of Misfit Toys.
Very much so. But I remember meeting you, and I was like, oh, I like this guy. Like right out of the gate, I was like, he and I are cut from the same cloth. Like this is a cool dude. And I remember specifically, one of the things I was doing is I was making a video for an HR thing, and it was about reasonable accommodations at work. And I tapped you and I said, hey, I want you to do examples of like what are reasonable accommodations and what are unreasonable accommodations. And I was filming it, and you did like, it was like 2 normal ones. You're like, hi, yeah, can I get like a gelled keyboard pad? Because I have carpal tunnel. It's like, ding, reasonable accommodation. It's like, I've got a really bad back. Can I have a standing desk? It's like, ding, reasonable accommodation. And then you're like, can I get a new manager? Because mine looks like Angela Lansbury. I remember, I was like, oh, it's like, not a reasonable accommodation. And I was just like, let you improvise it, and it was so much fun. They didn't let us use that for the training, unsurprisingly, which, I think would have been a fun way for people to recognize what is a reasonable accommodation at work, but
I wholeheartedly concur.
Yeah.
But we also got, truthfully, if we're going to really talk about that specific instance of our time in our lives, you and I were told pretty often what we were doing was probably not the right thing to be doing.
Yeah.
Not we were ever goofing around as much as just like, what about this stupid idea? And they'd be like, that's actually a really good stupid idea that we will not be doing. Like,
yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Cool. This is great. I'm so glad. And also I look back on that, I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't the right way to do that video. I was still kind of cutting my teeth on really what I got carte blanche early on in my carear with that sort of stuff. And I really pushed it to the limit in a lot of ways. And I probably needed to do that. But I look back, I'm like, woof, look at these videos. I still have a lot of them. I'm like, woof.
I'll never forget when you started sending me those. You're like, here's a new one I did. And every single time my response to him would be, what is your job? I don't understand what you're allowed. This would never fly at my 9 to 5. What the hell job do you work at?
Yeah.
So
I was like, listen, at the very least, they're fun.
Yes, they were.
People were listening. At the end of the day, people were listening.
Yeah, I did what I could. I had fun with where I could, and when I injected probably a little bit too much of myself into the workplace, and I've definitely pulled back a lot since then. So
that's really the workplace's problem, because you're a delight.
Oh, thank you so much, and you are as well.
More you in the world, my friend.
God help you all. More practical Dougs who hate onions. Like.
Doug onions, as we will now refer to.
Super mega loathe onions. I got a random question for you, Pat. Do you play Dungeons and Dragons at all?
Do I play Dungeons and Dragons?
Or have you?
I have not. I would love to, which sounds like such an interesting answer, because that's not normally what I imagine people to say. I think when COVID started happening, a lot of my friends were like, oh, we play Dungeons and Dragons. It's so cool. And I was either driving across the country or I was dealing with my small children, trying to keep them alive. So I just didn't put the time to learning or partaking in Dungeons and Dragons. But it sounds delightful.
Justin, do you think he's like a perfect fit for it or what?
Yep.
Are you inviting me to something fun?
This just dawned on me now. I'm running Justin's very first adventure. Like Justin's never played before, so I'm DMing not a campaign, just like a long adventure with him and a couple other newbies. And I was just thinking, I'm like, man, it'd be really great to have.
We'll call it a one-shot plus.
Yeah, that's very generous. A one shot's supposed to be something you do in one session, and I'm like, oh yeah, so we just finished up part 6 this past weekend. Still going strong. We just got to like the meat of the story. So.
Oh wow, okay.
But I was just thinking, I was like, man, it'd be fun to have you come in and do like a guest spot, like just like a guest character, and like I bet you would absolutely kill it with some of that stuff. That'd be so much fun.
I would adore that. I would like to request Lady Bard. No, let's not do that. How about Dragon Bard? No, okay, no, that's not gonna do it. What about Dwarf Bard? No, I don't. Okay, we'll workshop it. We'll figure it out. But
we'll figure it out.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I think it'd be fun to have you come in and be like a guest character during this. I think that would be very, very interesting.
Gummy bear.
Stray gummy bear?
Yeah, gummy bear from the Disney vehicle.
Oh, sure, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like just like a lost gummy, like a stray gummy bear, one you find under like the seat of the car.
Also, I'd be down for that.
I was like, I don't know that, but I like this. Yeah.
As long as I can bounce, perhaps here, perhaps there, perhaps everywhere, I'm fine. Really, I mean, it's at least in the same kind of genre, like non-medieval, right?
So true.
My first time ever actually like setting foot in D&D land was with Doug, and we did a guest spot on another D&D podcast.
Oh, cool.
They had a campaign. They were in like season 2, I think. They were just starting. They brought Doug and I in to play just these one-off characters that were there for that round or that episode, that whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a real nice. Again, it was very easy because there was no pressure on us to do anything. We were there to just either help move the story along or do everything we could to throw them off their game. Like that was the point of us. And I was like, oh, this is great. I don't have to make sure I'm doing it right. I just need to be here.
Yeah,
and
we played Rut and Root, two gremlins who were aspiring detectives.
Okay, please can we please make this happen? I don't care what you can give me any character, I will play it. I just want to be, that would be amazing.
Honestly, I think our group would love to have Pat come in.
100%. I'll
Leroy Jenkins, but that's okay. Let's just
we can Leroy Jenkins it. That'd be fun, you know. Oh man, I'm gonna think on that, and I'll see because I'm also recording these like to then be released, you know, like at a later time so that people can kind of like experience this and see what it's like. I'm gonna try and add some sound design to it and some things like that, so to try and make it a little more interesting. So I'll figure this out.
We should chat.
I'll noodle on this and I'll get back to you. All right.
Don't noodle too hard. It's gonna get messy.
Yeah, you know, it always does.
But you know, Justin, let me. In the meantime, as we're talking about D&D and such delights, can we? I mean, have you been to MagiQuest?
I've been to what?
MagiQuest. Do y'all know about MagiQuest?
No.
Oh, friends. Oh,
enlighten us.
This would have been a better bit if either of you knew what it was.
In Pigeon Forge?
What?
Is this in Pigeon Forge?
I mean, Tennessee? It might as well be. It's either there or it's in the Dells. I'm not sure, but it's like it's supposed to be a live role playing thing. They give you a wand and you walk around and like put spells on things and then things come alive. But it's like supposed to be this story is literally going to go nowhere. I can keep talking, but this is not going to go anywhere.
Please.
So MagiQuest, just you go and you like do magic at things, not even near it, just at it, and things come alive and interact and things like that.
Oh my God! There's one in Wisconsin and there's one in Pigeon Forge.
That's what I'm saying. You've done the right thing.
Holy shit. Yeah, oh my God!
For free plug for MagiQuest.
Yes. This was like the original. This is like the original Harry Potter land.
Yeah, very much.
Because like that's what in Universal you can like do. They've got the same thing where you can buy a Harry Potter one. You can point it at things and it does things move. And you can cast magic.
Yeah, except I think that's purposefully aged up and or darker than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, there are pictures of 3-year-olds with very large wands pointing them at colorful daisies on this website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. Those ones are normal size, and those children are very small.
They're halflings, you know?
They're halflings. Yeah, they're halflings. Anyways, that was a great story. I'm glad we took all the time with these people who are tuned in.
I think I saw wands like that at the pleasure chest one time. I don't know.
I mean,
those look suspect. I don't know about this. What is this place?
He said you're playing that off like you don't have one in your room with you right now.
right?
Yeah, he saw one, quote unquote. Yeah, we get it. Yeah,
I saw one while I was buying it.
I saw one, you know?
I saw one. I was at the pleasure chest and I bought it, and then I used it, and then I returned it.
But I didn't clean it.
But I didn't clean. Refurbished. Come down to the pleasure chest. Get your refurbished dildos.
Guess what? It's worth it. You want cheap? I got you covered. You know?
Half price.
You just put it in the microwave. Everything's fine.
Nuke it.
Just nuke it. It nukes all the bad stuff. It's all good.
It'd be great.
Oh man, where did we go?
I don't know, man, but I'm not mad about it. So, boy, everybody dies. Am I right? Like, it happens.
What a
Man,
segue.
hold on.
What a segue.
That deserves the old segue sound we used to use. That is classic Doug segue right there.
Everybody dies. Whoa. Everybody dies.
Speaking of stiff bodies,
Hey.
everybody died.
Hey, I don't need help. I'm good. I got this.
Okay,
all right.
fine. Sorry, my apologies.
Sledgehammer to the wall. I took us to the next room. We're forging ahead. Okay.
I took it to the next room.
I got us to the next room. Now let's play. So,
Yeah.
Justin currently, if you don't know, is up in Michigan now. He's no longer in the Chicago area. He's actually moved. So he and I are we are no longer next to each other, which is a shame. But the internet keeps us close together. But while Justin was up in his neck of the woods, he came across. Wow, Justin just did a grabby thing. I love it. Justin, you're talking about how there's this old ass cemetery by where you live. Tell Pat and I a little bit about that.
So yes, wife and I just bought a house, and I took a walk around the neighborhood, and there's a cemetery nearby, and I was walking by it, and I was noticing the dates on these headstones, and apparently this is one of the older cemeteries in the area, and earliest date that I've seen so far in the tombstones or the headstones I've looked at is 1836 is the earliest one that I've seen. And it got me to thinking, when's the last time someone came and visited whomever is buried in that grave? And I was like, this seems like a lot of wasted, and they're all from like the mid to late 1800s. And I'm like, this is generations have passed, generations after generations. And I would say pretty confidently, I'll lay some money down on the fact that no one's visited these graves, truly visited them, like to lay roses and to pay homage and, like talk to their great-great-grandfather or whatever it may be. It seems like a big, big waste of space to me. And so that brought this thought up, and I brought it up to Doug, and we wanted to get your take on it.
Sure.
I understand the concept that you've
People die.
a lot of land, and people die. And in death, you want to be comfortable. So you get a nice cushion-lined coffin, maybe silk inside. You get all, dolled up, and because why, right?
You got the snack pouch,
Yeah, exactly. They put a little Gushers pack with you in case you get, peckish on your trip. No, but like you've purchased this land. Someone purchased this, and it's their plot of land. But if no one's coming to see you, why the fuck do you what good is it doing? So my question is, cemeteries, what would your solution be to cemeteries? Like, do you think that people bought them, they should stay there? Or do you think very much like a copyright, after 100 years, they go back, that land goes back into public domain, and then you can do whatever you want with it?
I like that those are the only two solutions.
That's it. This is very A or B here, Pat.
Either you dig them up or you keep them there. That's how it's going to go. It's funny. Like the part of me really wants to dissect this and really go into it.
Do it.
Versus because I think that what we're experiencing right now with what we're talking about, like there are historic cemeteries in the United States, right? And I think the 1800s is still kind of in that middle ground between is it historical or not? But I know that from one of my friends who when I worked in Chicago at SMS Assist, I took the train back and forth every day from Wisconsin when we had moved up there before I was still at the job, and I was taking the train back and forth like a few hours a day. And one of the people that I rode the train with was I want to say it's like anthropologist sort of, but
Study
it's
of people.
for exhumed bodies.
Oh.
So and
So a
pottery
creep.
and things like that. So yeah, creep. So she would help on construction projects to like get the remains out.
Oh.
That, which is or like decide if it was a site that they couldn't dig on, I guess is like the best way to put it. And so while that would have been older, I know that there are construction sites in most cases have to hire people to come and survey the area for bodies and for historical record and things like that. So part of me is like, well, I get if we were to move them, which I'm all for, honestly, we would have to do it in a way that is scientific and respectful and accurate and things like that. I mean, I'm not a fan of burying bodies. Like the Vikings had it right. Set them out to sea, light those asses on fire. Let's just see what happens. My mother is a great example. This is a true story, friends. My mother said to me, Patrick, when I die, I want you to cremate me. I want you to put me in an urn that is biodegradable. I want you to take a cruise, and I want you to huck me off the side of it. The word huck in that context was fantastic to me. And
I love your mother.
Yeah, you gotta huck your body out the side of a cruise ship. So my wife and I currently have this running bit of like, we both will be cremated because we don't want to take up that space. And it's really a belief system too. Like, do you need your body? Do you not? Like the Egyptians like had a very different, the ancient Egyptians had a very not Egyptians in general. I don't know enough of them to say like, are you still into this? But they had a very different understanding. The Mayan, very different. Incan, very different understanding. Sure. I mean, hell, even the what is the gentleman? Maybe you can help me out. In India, there is those what are they called? They're like stacks and stacks and stacks of bodies, like for like towers of bodies. And I think it's in India. It might be somewhere else. It's like it's massive towers of bodies, and they allow them to decompose. It might not be in India.
Dakma or funerary tower.
Yeah, I believe so.
200-year-old Dakma or funerary tower is located deep within a 54-acre forest, where the bodies of deceased Zoroastrians are placed and exposed for scavenger birds. Oh wait, yeah. This is in Mumbai, India. Yeah. The Tower of Silence?
I believe so, yep. I think that's what I'm talking about. I think that's what it's called.
You know what my favorite thing about this was? I typed in Towers of Bodies, and I typed in India, and it's like Indiana.
Oh, God. Indiana.
Look, they've got their own Towers of Bodies, but for
it's a different kind of thing. But I find like there's a beauty in it, but I also think like there's part of me. So, I mean, we can even talk about like the larger conversation of like, who is that for? That's not necessarily for the people who died. It's for the grieving process of the people who remain. So once they have left, if that isn't passed down, if that tradition isn't
generations later, like I've never went and visited my great-great-grandparents. I think when I was very young, I knew like when I was very, very young, I knew my great-grandmother on my dad's side. And like, I think we went and visited her grave once when I was a little kid, but I've never been back since then. Like I say 2-3 generations passed, and does anyone really visit? Is anyone still there?
I would also argue to some extent, depending on the person, it also may be for the person who dies because of their legacy or their ego. As far as I want someone to remember me. I need to be remembered. I need someone to come and visit me, whatever. And I'm with you, Pat. I'm like, fucking burn me up. And I want this to be the least expensive funeral. Like, I don't want... You don't need to do that shit. Like, the idea of like, look at this beautiful lacquered wooden chest that we're gonna lock your body in, that we've disemboweled. You know, we sucked out all the juices. There's a husk of you that we're gonna put in there, in this super cozy thing. We're gonna lock it up, and then we're gonna dig a hole. We're gonna bury you in it. Ta-da! And we're gonna put a tombstone there. It's like, this is where you are. I'm like, don't. Listen, I've really gotten into privacy lately. I don't need anyone to know where I am when I'm dead. You know, right? Like, I don't need that shit.
Beloved father loved farts.
Yeah, right.
Doug,
hated onions. You know, like onions, Doug hates stuff. You know, like
right. It's your theme song just plays every time someone steps on your grave.
Yeah,
actually, I'd be down for that. That'd be and some sort of hologram.
Yeah.
Hey there. Hey there, guys.
Yeah.
How are you? Whatever it is.
Justin, play my theme song in case Pat hasn't heard it before, because I think
stuff is stupid, stuff is dumb. Doug hates stuff.
That's accurate. I appreciate that theme song because it's pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, the other thing too is like the concept of what. Like, I mean, okay, let's go back to the beginning of COVID when there were just people all over the world literally just piling up. What do you do with that? At a certain point, it's like, we can't deal with this in the way. I mean, it reminds me of, when did Columbus come?
1492?
Okay, so 1491, I think, is the name of the book. And it's about Native American advancements and Native people's advancements in the Americas prior to the arrival of Europeans, and talking about the decimation of that population. I mean, New England's a great example. To my understanding, there were upwards of 100 million Native Americans living in that area, and within 4 years, they died. And there were upwards, I think there were only like 30,000 left or something like that, something insane. So when a lot of the Europeans arrived, a lot of the branding for savagery and things like that came from necessity of like, we're just going to put the bodies over there because what do we do with them? I mean, we can't put them anywhere anymore. So they would walk into these villages and there would just be like this massive pile of dead bodies off in the corner. That just became a commonplace thing because they literally just couldn't do anything with them anymore.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting larger cultural conversation in that instance, but also like, how do we treat dead? What do we do? Is there a reverence? I think even in all three of our like examples of what do we do for each other? I mean, there's still a sense of reverence. It's just a matter of like, is the body, the husk, the shell, revered in the way. Like, and there are religions all over the world that feel that if the body is decimated, then so is the soul. But
sure, and I mean, there's an element to that where it does come down to religious too. Like, and I don't know what other religions specifically. Like, I don't think in the Catholic religion, I think you can be cremated. I don't think there's anything. I don't know what religions state that you have to be pristinely, untouched and in the ground and that, or you have to, but I know, I mean, they exist. They're around.
Yeah, they're out there.
They're out there somewhere. Someone believes it.
Yeah.
So like, but again, I would say like, if this is the cynic in me, I'm like, if no one is around who believes that anymore, is the body still staying? Does it need to stay down there? I don't know.
Well, I know it's written in a lot of religion that the whole point of putting someone in the ground is for when the resurrection happens. They'll be resurrected and yada yada yada. Harry Potter flies in and Snape is a good guy.
It's the religious version of walk it off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Walk it off. Give me that.
You've got the resurrection stone. You get up.
Fine.
Yeah.
The lady's like, Voldemort's like, is Harry dead? And she's like, no. She's like, is my son alive? She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, he's dead. And they go back to Hogwarts, and then he's actually alive. Voldemort's mad, and then there's Nagini.
Did we change topics? Do I need to do that bell
all
again?
that sort of stuff. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Like I again, very practical person, and I look at this as, when I zoom out to the idea of cemeteries, I look at this, I'm like, this is almost as bad as golf courses. What a waste of land, just taking up space that could be better used for something else. And not to say that, I say that with the idea that everyone has their own traditions, their own beliefs and things like that. But practically, this day and age, and this, all credit goes to Justin here, buy a website, buy a domain that says like Doug Cochran is dead .RIP, Justin very well with that, and fill that web page, pay for that domain on a yearly basis, fill it with photos, stories, comments. Like, that can be your memorial of this person, as opposed to like, they're in the ground right there, I know because there's a stone that says that's where they are. There they are. It's like, we have technology today to better memorialize people in a much greater fashion than to be like, I put him in the ground right there, and he's still there. It's just it's a giant waste of space, a giant waste of money. Oh boy, that's some barbecue talking right there.
You were a bit verklempt, as they say.
Like, a bit of save yourself some money. Like, we don't need to be doing this. We don't need to be. I just feel like we're doing it because we've done it. It's a classic tradition, and I love to break classic traditions in the sense of we just mindlessly do it because we've mindlessly done it. Like, what else can we do that's better and more efficient and saves us some money?
Well, Pat, to your point, where you're saying like it's kind of paying homage to the individual that has been buried there, I would say like this cemetery is not wonderfully kept up, and a lot of these when you get over 100 years old on 150 years old on some of these graves, a lot of these you can't even read. The stone's just been worn down to the fact where you really have to, you got to get out like a piece of paper and a crayon to figure out like what what did that say? And is that still paying homage to that person? I don't know, or homage, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure eventually there will be some business that cleans up a lot of that stuff and these answers, I guess, because I think like we're gonna run out of land eventually. We're gonna run out of water. We're gonna run out of all these things.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, if we're gonna really go down that path, I mean, burning anything right now is probably not a great idea.
No, that's fair. That's
fair. We got more things.
Then let's do the sky burial. Let's do what Justin just kind of looked up. Also, what's done in. I love you're laughing because I think Justin had the same thought where I'm like, sky burial. You put them into a plane, you go about 30,000 feet in the air, and you just drop them. You just drop them out, and then,
that's fair. I'm actually laughing because I thought you said sky bear, and I immediately thought of like a trebuchet, and you thrust someone's body towards the sky bear, and the bear decimates and consumes it. And then that we don't have to worry about it anymore. That's why I was like, oh, that's a funny idea. I like a sky bear.
Actually, that's how I want to go now. That's it. You just, I want that.
Not bad, because you're giving back. You know what I mean? You're giving your body back, and that's what a sky burial is. It's done, I think, in a lot of the Nepalese areas. Is they basically sort of like put the body into, like, they disconnect the joints and things like that, and they leave it for the birds in the area to consume. And essentially, they pick it clean. Everything's gone. It's like, yeah, like what? Because there has to be a system for the bodies, right? Because you just can't let them pile up. That's how disease spreads and all that other stuff. So yeah, have a system for it, but also like the idea of preserving somebody. And I think you at the very beginning you touched on something like a lot of that stuff. The funeral is for the people that are still alive. They need to mourn. They need to come to grips with it. But and I don't know, like, is that the best way to go about it? I don't know. Like, is that just something we've done? Can we smash that tradition too?
We are. I think this really speaks less to the tradition and less to those who are left behind. For me, it speaks a lot to human exceptionalism and believing that we are not part of the circle of life or nature or anything like that. I mean, the thing I like about the Nepalese example is that we are actively returning to, my daughter these things come up, right? And I've got an 8-year-old, and she was like, "What happens when you die?" And I was like, "Beats the shit out of me. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I don't know." As far as Peter Pan is concerned, it's an awfully big adventure. So I'm not sure, but I do know, for me, anyways, that like, does your consciousness go anywhere? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I would like to believe that some semblance of something at least contributes to something else, but I do know that my molecules will be redistributed throughout the cosmos, and that's great. I mean, what's that statistic? Something about like you're made up of a star, at least half of a star, or something like that. Like, your body is comprised of these types of elements and these things that are out in the universe, and you are part of a much bigger thing. But we as humans look at it and go, well, I've mastered my Earth, so
Right.
But
us.
It's like, well, what's the point of that? Like, just wasted space. You're keeping yourself from the decomposition process. It's like, that doesn't, we are part of nature, and we need to, once we can finally get our brains around that, maybe we can save what we have left. I mean,
such a good point, man. Like, I know there's like a lot of accounts out there. One in particular, like Nature is Metal, on Instagram, like just shows you like this is what nature is. I can't get myself to really partake in it because it is brutal. Like we've watched some like Planet Earth stuff with Natalie. She's 7 and whatever, and she's like, "No, run, antelope, run!" I'm like, "Yeah, wolf is probably gonna get that thing," and she's like, "Oh," and we both turned and we're like, "Listen, nature is brutal. Okay, like this sucks because that thing is cute, but this wolf needs to eat, and it's going to it's going to do it, and it's unfortunate. Like that's how that's how it exists. That's what life is, and it sucks when something's adorable and gets eaten. But I don't think people shed a tear when a fucking jaguar jumps into the river and comes out with the broken the broken neck of a fucking crocodile, and then pulls it up to a tree to eat it. People are like, "Whoa, that's cool."
Get it? Yeah.
When you see a snake grab a hold of a frog, and this frog is screaming bloody murder as the snake slowly consumes it, that's tough, but that's nature. And I think you're absolutely right, Pat, in that we somehow have put ourselves above this chain of events, because we've evolved and we've done these things where we now think we have some sort of power over our environment when we're still a part of this vital chain. And at any given time, and you see that regularly as people are like, "I'm going camping," and they go out into the woods and a fucking bear eats them. And they're like, "Oh my God, can you believe it?" I'm like, "Yeah, fucking bears live out there, dude."
Sure,
like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's going to happen. Like coyotes roam in my detention pond behind my house. Like, shit can happen, and you don't want it to.
And you don't live in the woods.
No, I don't. And they just come roaming by. It's like, so it's one of those things where I think that's such a great point in that we've convinced ourselves that, probably through generations of religion and whatever else, the idea that, God has chosen us and God has created us and, we're above these other things. And so we have to do these things that are different. But man, you made such a great point that I'm like, yeah, no. We're just another part of this ecosystem,
We're just a little cog in a big wheel.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we have all of these systems that show us this over and over again. I mean, capitalism, great example of this. If you don't survive, you die. Yeah. And then what happens? All of your workers, all of your resources, it goes back into the larger whole. Yep. So I'm not one to mince words about capitalism being good or bad or whatever it is, as much as saying, like, when I meet somebody who says, "Oh, the business goes out, that all those restaurants, they went out of business during COVID, isn't that sad?" I was like, that's the system. That's how this works. They weren't the top of the food chain, they die. Unfortunately, to be part of the food chain, you have to do some pretty shitty stuff. But welcome to humanity, friends.
That's such a good point. Like Natalie, she's just now really gotten into video games and arcades. And there was this place.
Buddy, you did it.
I know. I won.
You got her there.
I fucking won. Dude, literally 10 minutes before I got on here, I got this new game on my computer. It's called Borrow Trauma. And it's essentially a kind of a terrifying game where you man a submarine in the oceans of Jupiter. And creatures will attack you, and it's horrifying. And she comes running up to me. She's like, "Dad, do you have to go do your podcast right away? I'm like, well, I got a few minutes. Why? She goes, do you want to play the sub game? And I'm like, I don't have time for that because we gotta go out there, we gotta undock, and then we gotta navigate through these icy oceans, and probably creatures are gonna attack us. And then when they do, we gotta fix the hull, otherwise we flood and we die. Like anything's possible. But anyway, I say all that today that just literally like a 2-minute drive away, and Seth is just trying to chat who played with me. He goes, I burned the engine down on accident playing that game.
Well, all right.
He's saying they're running a sub right now.
Oh, really? Shit. All right. Well,
yeah, pulling double duty.
Watching
the stream on a submarine. That's impressive.
God damn it. You are on the sub. Damn it. Anyway, focus.
Doug's like, we're done.
I want to be on the sub too. All right, focus. We're focusing.
Doug just leaves and it's
like, oh no! Just cut to me like, sonar's going crazy up the starboard bow. So there was this arcade called Fun Zone that's in a strip mall right by my house, and I would drive by it all the time. I'm like, oh my god! Like when Natalie gets older, she'll probably like that. Pandemic hits, that place just gets wiped off the map because how's that going to survive? No one's going anywhere. No one's going to be in an arcade, and it's fucking gone. And the sign is still up there because no one's taken over the space, and we drive by it, and Natalie sometimes be like, Dad, why did Fun Zone have to close? I'm like, well, here's how business works. And I explained it to her.
Economics 101 lesson.
Exactly. And she goes, oh, I'm so sad about it. I'm like, yeah. It's fucking unfortunate because now we have to drive 30 minutes to get you to a goddamn place that has laser tag and video games. But, it is what it is. But it's the same thing with that. It's luck. It's just the kind of industry that you're in that, takes a shit on you. I mean, AI is creeping in on a lot of people's work. Justin and I talk about that at length. It's a hot thing in our Discord, which, by the way, you can join. Check out the link in the description down below. It's a hot thing. People are always talking about AI, how it's doing it. I actually saw for the first time how AI could affect my job just the other day. I'm an instructional designer. I design trading for people to use in training. And Microsoft, which is also an organization that has invested heavily into OpenAI, posted something about an update that they are adding to PowerPoint where they have a little chat box and you could type in what you want to do your presentation about, and it will populate slides for you. And you can go into a slide and be like, this is pretty text heavy, make it more visually appealing, and it will adjust the slide for you, put the heavy stuff into the instructor notes, and add animations automatically for you. And I was like, oh shit. I don't like building presentations, so I'm like, great. But I was like, that was the first time, because I'm always like, AI is awesome. It's making things more efficient. I'm like, but I've also said with the full caveat, I'm like, AI has never encroached. Technology has not encroached on my job as of yet, so I might change my tune when that happens. And this is the first time where I was like, that's fucking cool. Also, that could be a big
the technology taking over people's jobs. Like we talk about this a lot. We hear it. Especially now, we're hearing a ton about it. Right? Excuse me. That this has been going on for eons. I mean, there was a guy who was like, I push carts around, and then they're like, here's a wheel, and he's like, crap. These things. And I think the problem right now is that it's so much faster.
Yes.
And our world is so much faster, and there's just going to be a lot of people that we're going to have to make accommodations for in a world that, at least our world is 3 American dingbats. We're in a system that it is weakness to help another person. So, and then the American dream is predicated upon one person winning and everyone else like being a part of that journey for them. So I think that we're going to be forced into a place where we have to change our systems, and it's kind of exciting. I mean, I know that it is scary for people because people don't like change, but I think honestly, I could only see it being really interesting. It's going to suck hard for a while, but I think ultimately it's going to be really cool. I mean, like I keep thinking, what's that? There's a Matt Damon movie where he's got a robot body and
Elysium.
Yeah. So that's like my worst case scenario of like water's gone, everybody's upset, and it's the haves and the have-nots have gotten so disparate that it just can't find its way in.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I know about humanity, and this is me talking real out of turn here, and I apologize for anybody who's listening who knows way the fuck more about this than I do, but people get angry, and when they get angry, they revolt, and there is a revolution, and that happens in the animal world, and it happens in our world. So people were saying to me early on, like, oh, what about Trump? What about, before? What about Obama? Like, people get mad, they rally, and they fight. And that's what they do. I mean, the January 6th thing, as crazy as that is, and I am in no way supporting that. I want to be very, very clear that I am against what happened there. But there's a beauty in people getting angry, even if they're racist fucking assholes. But like no, I'm not supporting racism. Okay. Also, let me just be very clear. Let's just think about the idea of what happened and not why. And then, there's a beauty in people coming together, is what I'm saying. Even if they are broken and they all come together and find each other in very stupid circumstances, there is a beauty to people seeing their circumstances and standing up for themselves. And I think that that's really kind of cool, as much as that instance is fucked up. I mean, even there were people in the French Revolution who were like, this is completely fucked up. There's...
you can look at Iran right now, with the people that are protesting against their government for the murder of young woman who wasn't wearing her hijab and things like that, and it continues to this day. It's reigniting. It's kind of went out, but then they're impressing and people are coming together even at risk of great peril, great torture. They're just like, hey, fuck you, like we're gonna
look at the other side of the coin. During the pandemic, when the George Floyd thing happened, I mean, on the opposite side of the aisle, it was like, okay, we're done with this now,
Yeah. I mean, there's if anyone hasn't read the book Cast, I absolutely suggest that you do so. I don't remember who wrote it right now. It's an excellent book. It's about race disparity in America and disparity in America. It's awesome.
Cast: The Origins of Our Discontents.
Yes, The Origin of Our Discontents. Yeah, it's a phenomenal book. But that having been said, it's talking about that place where, like, there's a nuance to race in this country and race in general. That's like, will we ever get out of that situation because of the systems that are built? Will we ever get out of it just because of the culture that we've built? And eons and eons of stupidity. And I really want that to happen, but we do need to get angrier. We just need to get angry, and eventually we'll stop electing people who are above the retirement age, and we'll figure it out. But
that is something that Doug and I have talked about off mic ad nauseum.
I'm going to talk about it right now. If we have a retirement age because people are enfeebled, why in the heck's name do we? I mean, I understand they have experience. I get that. I understand.
Fuck that. Plenty of people have experience. No. Yeah, I'm in full. And if we have a floor, there should be a ceiling. You have to be at least this age to run for president. Then you have to be at least under this age to hold that office too. Like there absolutely needs to be a cap on both sides.
And if I lose one job because of this conversation, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna say that right now. Like, the system needs to change, and I hope that the generation below us, because we are wasted space, gentlemen, the generation below us gets that done.
Yeah.
I look at my niece and I have hope.
Oh, yeah, but so did the last niece. Your nephew, when you were a nephew, they had hope about that shit too.
Yeah, and
look, we're a waste of damn space, you guys. That's what I'm saying.
Real quick, I want to make sure that we coin this now. We're going to be an improv troupe called Three American Dingbats. So you said that earlier. Perfect improv name.
Work as a ska band or
oh my God, great ska band.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to move on to our final segment.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical. Ask Practical Doug.
It's got a real Janet Jackson vibe about it.
I'm not mad about it either.
Thank you,
No,
and
me
you're
neither.
welcome.
Yeah.
For those of you who have never been here before for an Ask Practical Doug segment, and for those who have been here before, welcome back. Ask Practical Doug. Practical Doug is a tiny Doug who lives inside of larger Doug and guides larger Doug in all of life's journeys, all of its quandaries, all of its mysteries. If you have a question that you would like answered, you can ask Practical Doug by either joining us live on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. You can ask in the chat. On any social media, you can mention us and then hashtag Ask Practical Doug, or you can join our Discord where there is a specific Ask Practical Doug channel that you can put those in there. And if you're really lucky, you might get it answered live to tape on our show. Okay.
Yeah.
So today's Practical Doug, we've got two that share the same DNA. Okay. So
They're cousins that kiss.
they are. We got two kissing cousin Ask Practical Dougs. Doug, is it okay to kiss your cousin? Please tell.
Well, it depends. How hot are they? And also, are they stuck? Because that makes a big difference too.
Are they stuck?
Yeah, are they stuck?
Anyway, so Ask Practical Doug. So
Gross.
from Twitter.
Oh, somebody needs to say it. This is fucking gross.
User Zach's Jerry Ring says, let's say hypothetically, a guy is traveling with his wife and her wheelchair has a loose bolt. The man does not have his tools, so he goes to the store with his wife and tightens one bolt with a wrench off the shelf. He then puts the wrench back on the shelf and leaves. Is this stealing? And before you answer that question, let me ask the second one, and then we can dissect both of them. So this one comes from our Aussie buddy, Jared. So when I was a kid, my friend and I were really into Star Wars Episode 1 pod racing on N64. We found out that there was a cheat code for, is it Sebula, Doug?
Sebulba.
Whatever.
I'm sorry, cover your ears, Pat.
Get out of here. What is happening? This was such a good point. You're like, come on.
It's Episode 1. I don't care. In some magazine at the news at the news agent. So we went and we copied the code since we didn't need the whole magazine. Apparently someone spotted us, called my mom, who lectured me about stealing, made me rip up the cheat code. Was this stealing? So again, two very share similar DNA. Now, Doug, Practical Doug, let's start with you, then we'll move on to Practical Pat, which
All right.
actually works way better.
It does. It's got that sweet, sweet alliteration. I'd say because I have finding like what is piracy is to me also the debate about what is a sport. It's very nuanced. It's very interesting. A lot of times things can fit into a one-size-fit-all answer, but that's not always the case. So the way I look at this is the first one, on a very, very, very technical level, it is kind of stealing, right? Because you're using a tool that you don't own from a store to fix something, right? Because I think that's different than if you're just like walking down the street, you're like, shit, this broke. And you're like, hey, does anyone have a wrench or something? Someone's like, yeah, I got one. You borrow it and you give it back. No big deal, right? So it is a little bit, but it's just such a minor infraction, right? It's such a minor infraction because that wrench still has value. It's still like it still can serve a purpose, and you can say that, I don't know. I guess that's kind of like a roundabout way is like in a minor level it is stealing, but it's a minor infraction. The second one is stealing because that code has a purpose that is to unlock something in a game, and it's in a magazine. It has value that you are circumventing the purpose of purchasing the magazine to get something to then use to your benefit, if that makes sense. Fingers
Let me
up.
ask a caveat on that.
Let's do it.
Real quick before we kick it over to Pat in the field. So if, let's say hypothetically, Jared was at this newsstand, he was just thumbing through the magazine, casually just kind of looking at it, saw the code, photographic memory, remembered it, didn't copy it down, just happened across it and then remembered it and used it, is that stealing?
I'd also argue that's stealing as well.
Just because he remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that's locked behind a paywall,
No,
like
it's
this.
just sitting on the stand. It's not even in plastic like the titty magazines are.
It should be. How do you know that wasn't in a titty magazine? That's Star Wars Episode 1, man. They promoted that shit everywhere.
That's true. That's fair.
What an interesting ad.
In the middle of this, it's like, hey, check out pod racing on the N64.
Year-olds.
This fold out is not what I thought it would be.
Well, I guess. Wow, now this is pod racing. Right. He undoes the
Thank you,
centerfold.
Maxim.
Pat, what do you think on these two?
Yeah, what do you think?
So I'm going to take a slightly. This is very technical, and this is why this is me being a real superior liberal ass nerd. Let's talk about that. So, Citizens United. Shall we talk about Citizens United for a minute? Which makes corporations people, in the view of the law. So if Doug can walk down the street and ask very casually for somebody to borrow a wrench, and they go, "Yeah, sure," and that's an easy exchange to make, right? Mm-hmm. There's no intention. There's no use outside of what you need to borrow it for. You need to use it if it does not damage that product, you borrow it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think like and also who's gonna like, listen, person in wheelchair, get out of here. Like, that's not gonna happen.
I don't have a ramp for a reason. Get the fuck out. How'd you get in here? There's stairs only. What are you, a wizard?
But if corporations are people, could I not borrow something for a one-off use as long as it isn't damaged or hurt? Because if it was damaged or hurt and it was a person, I would replace it.
Mm-hmm.
I would purchase it from them, and I would take over that ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me feels like maybe it's not stealing. I can understand why it would be stealing under what we know. But like, I don't know, if they're going to fuck me, I'm fucking back. I don't give a shit. I'm talking about corporations. I'm not talking about people in wheelchairs.
Sure.
Understood.
Also not talking about cousins either. So just to be clear.
Definitely not cousins, because that's how far removed. Never mind.
Yeah.
Listen, regarding the magazine, I have to agree with Doug. I think that the innocence of a child, was it purposeful? Was it malicious? No, certainly not. Did they find a cheat code within the cheat code of life? Yes, they did. And they may in that way. Is that wrong? If we're all competitive animals and that's our predestination is to be competitive, maybe that person did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, in this case. Jared. Yeah, Jared, good for you, man. Steal away.
Good on you, mate.
But I mean, these are all moral questions, and can you answer a moral question with a moral answer if you have the same code of conduct?
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, technically you can, because the masses dictate that stuff.
I would say, adding to what you said, Pat, because taking that code and using it does damage the product if we're taking that same logic, because the product of that magazine is, if you buy this, in here is a passcode to unlock a special character. And if you just go and take that and then use it and don't buy it, like, you've devalued that to some degree. How much? Sure. Debatable, right?
But you devalue the magazine. Do you devalue the game that was giving it away as a promotion? No.
Right.
They got what they needed out of that.
Right. But you are devaluing the magazine. Whereas in the previous...
Go ahead. You cheated the magazine out of a sale. If you had stolen the magazine, that'd be stealing from the vendor, the newsstand.
But also, isn't this an issue of like how they're displayed and how they're protected and how, like, these are all social constructs. Like, we know we're supposed to go into a store. We know we're supposed to buy something.
Right.
But if it's available, how is it not a library?
Pat is either a chaotic good or a chaotic neutral character. That's who he is.
I am chaotic good all day long. In fact, one of my speeches is called Chaotic Good. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Check out
starting at the beginning. Go.
Check out PatDwyersTaken.com and book a meeting to learn about why chaos is good. Learn more about it.
Right.
At PatDwyersTaken.com.
Chaotic goodness. Let's get it.
I would probably lean towards the man with the tool in the store. I understand where you're coming from, where it's like I don't know. It's interesting because it is like you're stealing the use of that thing. Like the thing is meant to be purchased to be used, and in both instances, you are using it for free. So is it something that is meant to be purchased, you're using it for free? I would argue that just in my gut, it doesn't feel like it's not like I'll say this. It's not like he brought a pile of lumber into the store and used a miter saw to like you know what I mean? Like he didn't make a whole bunch of angled cuts then to go back and start putting up crown molding in his kitchen. Like
Right.
I feel like that would be stealing. Whereas this is like, I'm just going to tighten this bolt real quick and now we're good to go. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be clear, Menards and some Home Depots and things like that, they have saws out back. You can literally just go use them for your own purposes.
That's true.
I found that out
I
when I
like
was
to
in the
take them
RV.
saws off the shelf and plug them in and actually use
Well,
those.
okay, fine, that part.
Yeah.
But
Or
that's,
going into one of those places and taking a shit in a toilet that's not, hooked
That's
up.
not hooked up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of stealing to some degree, right? I
A
mean,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Is it stealing or is it giving?
I mean, you're stealing by giving is what it is,
I'm not taking anything.
Look, listen,
Well,
you're committing some sort of moral crime. We can all agree on that.
Wait, but you can clean that. That's not damage to that. That's just inconvenience. Like you can clean that. And
Listen,
then sell it.
fair.
when I
Right.
buy a brand new toilet, there's an
Well, the sports
expectation
teams
that
don't-
it's never been used. It's never been shit in before. So if it has
How
been,
do you think they test their product? Come on now.
yeah, okay,
Like,
but
somebody tested that thing.
yeah, not that specific one.
You don't know
You know-
that. They might
know
be
the-
back and it's like, Carl, come here.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, boss. I just had Taco Bell.
when your undies say inspected by 54, that's a test process. Like that man puts them drawers on and takes them back. It's like, yeah, those are all right, and then takes them back off.
He does some
Puts their
sumo
own
squats in
number
them. It's just like,
Yeah, like this is okay. No, these stretch great. And then they put their number. They take them off. They put their number in, and they go, cool, no streaks. And then they fold them up and put them in the pocket. Have I misunderstood? What
gang,
I
you just learned something new about
understand
about the retail industry. Like how we try stuff out. He's just, yeah. No, I'm with you. I think.
Wait. So, hold on. Speaking of retail industry, that just dawned on me. How come I can go to a store and try on clothes to make sure it's right, but that person can't go in and try the wrench to make sure it's right?
Ooh.
We're assuming that person didn't make the conversation in their head or the decision that wrench wasn't quite right.
Or they didn't need a wrench in perpetuity. They just needed one wrench real quick to
You
tighten
mean
this
to tell
bolt.
me that bolt's not going to come loose again? Maybe they were like, this worked, but it's not really.
Maybe
what
they
I'm
have a wrench at home, but they're not at home right now, and they need to do this so that their wife doesn't fall out of their chair. It's a safety concern, There's no safety concern with unlocking Sebulba in
Well,
fucking
we should
pod
really
racing.
get the real brass tacks. Jared is a terrible person.
I mean,
And, yeah, that's what I think we're all agreeing to. Sorry, Jared, you're out, man.
he was raised
When
by
I said all that nice things earlier.
he was raised by
like,
huntsman spiders. So I mean, what do you want from him?
Come on now, that sounds amazing.
Justin just threw up a little bit in his
done
mouth.
with- I'm done with this segment.
Deep side, he was just like, when he heard that, he just like wasn't here for it.
Is that a sky bear?
He's like, it's hungry. Fire one. He's ready.
Bye, Grandma. See ya.
It's just
Man, it's just layers on layers on layers.
I like
Nice.
it. You guys are right. Also, sky bears. Just to go back to that real quick. To my understanding, they have their tummies have different pictures on them, and then they get really excited, and their rainbows come out of they eat people, and then the
Hi
rainbows.
there,
come out.
stare.
Yeah.
oh dear God.
Right? That's good. That's good.
Well, that was Ask Practical Doug. Another successful one. I think we
I'm
got to the bottom of it. I am very satisfied. So it felt good. So now we're going to move on to the last part here, which is recommendations. Pat, this is the part of the show where we offer everyone an opportunity. Like if you've read something, if you watched something, if you've played something, anything like that you've consumed that you think someone should check out, even if it's your own stuff, by all means, just say, hey, what would you recommend people to check out, right now, based on your opinion?
Well, for starters, I would definitely recommend that people check out PatDwyerWasTaken.com because I have to do is gratuitous self-plug. Otherwise, the book that we talked about before, Cast, is absolutely spectacular, and I think it will really change the way that a lot of people look at race relations in general, if nothing more. And there is a lot more to that. I would like to also plug, we were talking about this before we started recording. Guys, Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot is maybe the best ride ever. Y'all got to go on it. I mean, somebody has, it's an experience. It's not just a ride, it's an experience. And if there's the crowning achievement of my speaking career if anyone ever makes me an honorary Imagineer, I don't even know if that's a thing. I will quit my job. I will just stop doing it because I will have peaked. Like there will be nothing left to do because that is just the jam. But the only other thing I can recommend is PatDwyerWasTaken.com. Visit it, join it, act like a dummy with me. It'll be really fun.
Fantastic. I love it. Justin, what do you got to recommend this week?
I'm going to recommend on Apple TV Plus Shrinking, which is Bill Lawrence and of Scrubs and Ted Lasso fame, has created this with Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent on Ted Lasso, and Jason Segel, who stars in this. So Jason Segel, Kristen Miller, Jessica Williams, Harrison Ford, big because Harrison Ford really doesn't do TV, and they convinced him to do this, and it is just marvelous. It is about a therapist who is hit a midlife crisis breaking point because he lost his wife, and he needs to figure out how to come back into the real world and continue being a therapist for other people while dealing with his own problems. And it is equal parts hysterical and heartbreaking and touchy-feely warm. It hits all the right notes, and I really enjoyed it. Zach Braff actually directed episode 8, I think, which was kind of cool.
Neat.
Bill Lawrence keeps bringing back these people that he works well with. But it shares a DNA with Ted Lasso in that it hits all the right feels. So I think they really struck some real good chords with this. Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. Check it out. Doug, what do you got?
Nice. If you're looking for a laugh, I recommend Burt Kreischer's new 1-hour comedy special on Netflix called Razzle Dazzle. I love Burt Kreischer. He's a real fun guy. I love him on so many podcasts. This one in particular is fun because most of it, honestly, it's like 2 or 3 stories is all it is. And they're great stories. They're phenomenal stories. And Burt knows how to tell a story. And they're very good. They're very fun. And he's a delight. So that's available now on Netflix. Go check it out. Burt Kreischer, Razzle Dazzle. Very good stuff. Razzle Dazzle. So that's it for us for this week. Don't forget, if you enjoyed yourself and you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're looking to check out our Discord, the link is in the description. If you're looking to support us, free, like and subscribe, that's huge. That doesn't cost you anything. If you'd like to send some money our way, check out our merch at redbubble.com. And also you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/mindgappodcast. We live stream the podcast on Tuesdays, and I also host a video game stream live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central. Although I don't think I'll be doing one this week because I'm getting ready to go out of town, so I may not have time to do one this Friday. And there also won't be a podcast next week because I'll be out of town. So sorry. I'll see you when I get back. But be sure to check us out on all of our social media at MindGap Podcast, and be sure to check out Justin as well.
On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it while you're in the online realm. Check us out on all the places where you can find and consume quality podcasts. You'll be able to find and consume us. And then 2east8th.com and 2east8th on all social media. And then also keep an eye on loveandimprovfilm.com and Love and Improv Film on Instagram.
Fantastic. And one more time, Pat, where can people find you?
PatDwyerWasTaken.com.
Beautiful. That's what we love.
If they don't remember that, I don't know what's going to help.
That's right. Yeah, you've done it. You've done your job.
It's beautiful because this, you know how people do like kidnapping binders? That's the whole new thing now. This website can serve not only as your business, but also as your kidnapping binder. So it's PatDwyerWasTaken.com.
Help me.
Pat, thank you so much for being back here. We love you so much, and it's been such a delight chatting with you again.
Thank you for having me, friends. I really appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. And we promise it won't be 4 years before you come back. It'll be much, much sooner.
5? Oh, sooner. Okay, great. Yeah, no, it's great.
Fantastic. So with that, I'll say, Pat, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
And listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week.
Bye.
And that was our podcast. Woo!
That's fun. That was really fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
Shout out to Noah and Seth for hanging out in the chat. I'm jealous that you all are fucking playing Submarine Time right now. That's I want to play.
Sounds like a bath time game that Doug wants to play.
I want to play.
Sounds like a Atari game, which I really appreciate.
Sometime.
Sometime.
It's just okay. What do you mean it's just okay, Noah?
Uh-oh.
What do you mean? Do you need help fighting the monsters that are in the ocean? Are they beating you up? You having a hard time? Have you fixed a beacon yet?
Have you fixed the beacon? Seriously, if you had a lisp, you'd be like, do you spend a lot of time doing this? Sometime. Not a lot. Yeah, sometime. Sometime of it, I spend a good amount of time. But
I have sub time with tub time, you know?
Sometime I play it often. Sometime I get a divorce because of it. Sometime it's good. It's a good game.
Harold, how many times have you gotten a divorce because of this?
Oh, what's more than one?
All the numbers.
Yep.
Yep.
Sometime you get divorced. Sometimes you don't.
Oh my
this
God.
Time I did. Yeah.
Whoops-a-doodles. Oh my God. So good. Well, thanks for everyone who tuned in to watch. I appreciate you. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. We love you. And we'll see you next time on My Get Podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.